Do you mind if I go for a run? Said JB. You're going out again? Said his wife. At least it keeps me fit, he laughed. Hopefully I'll be around for longer. I'm coming up to the age my father had a heart attack, remember? Don't say that. It's true, he said. You've made me feel bad now. I didn't mean to. I didn't know you were worrying about that, she said. Well, I'm not worrying because I'm running. I don't smoke. I don't have a pot belly. You've got me worrying now, she said. Well, don't. I don't mind you going out for a bit, but this is taking over. I hardly see you on weekends and evenings now. You see more of Camo than me. That's not true, he said. It feels like it. Going out on a Sunday and then my mother's. It feels like the weekend is over before it even starts. I don't want to stop you running, but you have to admit it is getting a bit much. I'll speak to Camo about going earlier in the morning then. That would be a bit better. But it's still waking up by myself and having a breakfast by myself. You know we always have breakfast together on a Sunday. And you always come back too tired and don't want to do anything anyway. That's not true. I only fell asleep in the bath once. And at night watching telly. We're only watching telly. What does it matter if I fall asleep occasionally? I don't have a go at you when you fall asleep watching telly. That's not fair, she said. Look, I don't want to fall out about it. I want to run to keep fit and as a hobby. It's just finding the right timings, that's all, he said. And I want you to be fit and see your friends too. Would you prefer it if I didn't care? You went out so much and came back so tired. I've got to go, he said. Camo will be waiting. I'll speak to him about better timings, I promise. We'll talk about it when I get back and get something you're happy with. He hugged her and she responded. Go on, you'll be late. Don't leave him waiting, that's not fair. What if I go Saturday mornings instead? Saturday? But that's when we go out together. I'd prefer you to go out on Sunday than Saturday. Don't start going out on Saturday. Okay, he said. We'll sort it out when I'm back. Okay, bye. Love you. He turned and looked at her. I don't like leaving you now. I'll tell Camo something has come up and cancel it. He's done that to me. He will understand. No, don't be ridiculous, she said. You can't do that to him. He's done it to me. It happens. We've all got families. No, you go. I'll be fine. You sure? Go on. He kissed her on the cheek and she wrapped her arms around herself. I didn't know you were worrying you might have a heart attack. You've got me thinking about it now. He went back and started rubbing up her arms. I'm not thinking about a heart attack. I'm running, so I'm keeping fit, and so I'm not worrying about it. If I wasn't keeping fit, then I'd worry. You sure? She said. Of course I'm sure. As long as you are all right. Of course I'm all right, he smiled. Look at this heavenly body. She could not stop a smile. Then she pushed him in the direction of the door. Go on, Camo is waiting. Tell him I said hello. I will do. And I'll tell him I need to go earlier and get back around about 11. Okay, that would be a bit better. He met Camo on the street outside the hairdresser's. All right, he said. Yeah, but I've got to find a way of getting the running in without cutting into family life so much. Getting grief, he said, smiling. Fair enough, really. Yeah, me too. I've been thinking. We could get up early and go then. By the time we are back, they will only be just getting up. That's exactly what I was thinking. What time were you thinking about? About 6. I suppose he has to be that then, he said. Are you up for the Cowgirls this Sunday? Okay, I think I can make that, said JB. Good. 'Cause I've got Faran Height to come with us. He did the Norbert in 23 hours, 35 minutes, which is the pace I think I could get round. He's close to my size too. He's been there and done it, so he can give us some good advice, you know. OK, laughed JB. I've not said I'll do it yet. When I feel I'm up to it. You'll be fine. You will have had loads of training in by the time summer comes around. We'll see, said JB. Oh, can't wait to talk to him about the Norbert, said Camo. No, it will be interesting how he found it. I'll drive. It must be my turn. OK, meet me at mine at 9. I know we said go earlier, like, but it's the only time he can make. OK, said JB, thinking he was now going to have to explain that to his wife. The veteran. JB arrived on Camel Street just before 9, parked up and knocked on his door. He could hear shouting inside, and the door was flung open, and he was confronted by a hard-faced woman in a big white toweling dressing gown, with her hair tied up and no makeup on. Yes? It was said like an accusation. Have I got the right address? I'm calling for Camo to go for a run. She stood staring at him for a moment. You've got the right place. Who are you? Justin. Phil? Someone called Justin is here for you. Camo's voice came through from the back of the house above the noise of children. Be there in a moment! His wife shouted through. You've never mentioned a Justin before. It's Jam Butty! Shouted Camo. Ah, Jam Butty, she said. She turned back to him, looked him up and down, and gave him a close inspection. He was conscious of not wearing much in his lycra pants. He determined not to shift awkwardly under her glower, and remained standing firm. So you're his new best friend, she said. Sorry? Oh, he gets a new best friend every few months or so, and a new favourite hobby to throw himself at every few years. He's always been that way. She turned back to shout through, not waiting for any reply. Are you coming or what? I'm freezing my arse off stood here. Come in, said Camo, walking through, putting his trainers on as he came with one hand and carrying his lightweight running rucksack in his other. JB started to slowly walk down the path towards the car to leave them to it. Oh yes, I forgot about them, said Camo's wife. Incidentally, how much did those new trainers cost? About £60, I think, said Camo. He went to kiss her on the cheek as he passed her. She was unmoved. Funny that. How come the bill to our joint account says £120? I'll check again when I'm back. Sorry, my love. Got to go. The lads are waiting, said Camo. Don't my love me, she said in a loud voice. Yes, you run along to your little hobby and leave me looking after the bloody kids while you go off with your new best friend. She was stood in the doorway with her arms folded. She was tiny compared to Camo in height, and probably less than half his weight. Bye, nice to meet you, said JB, opening the driver's side door. Yes, she said doubtfully. JB shut the door, reached across and lifted the door lock for Camo to get in. Bye! See you later! Shouted Camo, getting his giant frame inside while ducking his head. JB felt the car tilt slightly towards Camo's side. Camo pushed his rucksack down between his feet. He sat backwards and forwards a few times to get his big body comfortable, the car rocking gently as he did it, the springs straining. Everything all right? Said JB. Do you not want to go back in and sort things out if she's unhappy? No, she's all right. Just annoyed I splashed out on these trainers, probably. If it wasn't that, it'd be something else. He looked across at JB, surprised he had made a fuss. Do you and your wife not talk to each other like that? That's how we talk all the time. Not really. You sure she's okay? Said JB. There's no way I would let my wife talk to me like that in front of anyone else, he thought, ever. Even if I had done something she thought was wrong. Firstly, you sort your issues out in private, and second, you don't speak like that even in private. You put your point and you come to an agreement. I wouldn't want to be with someone who spoke to me like that. Not even in private. Not a chance. But people are different, and you should never come between a man and his wife. He glanced across at her hard act and gave her a little smile and nod. She did not nod back. Camo could snap you in two with one hand and not get a bead of sweat on his forehead, he thought. Hard act or not. "She's all right," said Camo. "She'll bitch and whine about how she's done all the childcare, so come Friday night or Saturday night, or sometimes both, she can say it's her turn to go out with her mates and get rat-arsed, and that'll be me looking after the kids while she is out, and then taking the piss out of her while she's got her head down the bog throwing up, saying she'll never drink again, ha ha. I used to be like that before I started running. At first we'd get pissed together and that was great. Then we had the kids. We couldn't do that, so we'd take it in turns to go out. Now I can't be bothered with all that. Maybe I'm getting too old for it. I'd rather go out for a run and get fit. I should have done it years ago. I wouldn't mind as long as she's not so bad I can't go for a run on a Sunday morning. I don't mind missing a run on a Saturday morning, but I need to get one big one in a week at least, and Sunday morning is usually it." JB started the car and started to drive off. Camo did not look at his wife, who was still standing there, and it was left to JB to wave at her. She did not wave back. She turned and shut the door as fast as she had opened it. "Oh, I've got something for you." Camo reached down and picked up his running rucksack. "Oh?" said JB. "Yeah, hang on, where is it?" He unzipped the sack and pulled something out. JB glanced quickly to the side to see what it was, not wanting to take his attention off the road. "It's a running belt. You can fit a surprising amount in it. I've got a new one, lighter, but this is still a good one. I've got loads of memories of some big runs in this. I'll miss it." JB glanced again. Camo was holding it and looking fondly at the canvas running belt. "Well, keep it then," said JB. "I don't want you to part with it." "No, it's okay," he said, patting it as if he was saying goodbye to an old friend. "I've got a new one now. It's better than it lying around in the cupboard until it gets thrown out." "Are you sure?" said JB. "Of course. I wouldn't give it to you otherwise." "Thanks." "No problem. I'll put it on the back seat for you." He loves to buy the latest thing, thought JB. I'm not so bothered as long as it does the job. This running gear costs a bomb. Camo stretched his arm back and put it on the rear seat. "I've been reading up on different fell runners, even different sportsmen, to look for tips to improve, and I've come up with a great one that swimmers do but fell runners haven't taken up yet. It might give me an edge." "What's that?" said JB. "Shaving off all your body hair," said Camo. "What? All your body hair?" said JB. "Well, you can leave that bit if you want. No, it will cut your weight. Not by much, I grant you, but every bit counts, doesn't it? And when you are doing over 67 miles, that little bit of body weight over that time will add up. But also, it will make you more streamlined. The swimmers do it to cut down drag in the water. What do you think?" "I don't know. Maybe. Makes some sense, I suppose. How are you going to get to all those awkward places? Like your back?" "Well, like the army. That's where your mate comes in handy," said Camo. "Who, me?" said JB. "Why not? You shave my back and I'll shave yours. I don't mind." Maybe, said JB. "I've not made up my mind I'm doing it yet. But I'd draw the line at shaving your back. I'm not going any lower." "That's all right," said Camo. "I can reach everything lower myself." An image went through JB's mind. Bloody hell, said JB, thinking about it. What? Said Camo. If it gives us an edge. Camo directed JB to the veteran's house. They drove round and round a series of streets with the same but slightly different semi-detached houses. The houses had been up a while, probably 1930s, thought JB. You could tell by the trees and the growth in the gardens. Here it is, said Camo. I'll go and knock. The tall veteran got in the back of the car. Morning, lads. I won't need a lift back. I'm going to my brother-in-law's for dinner. He lives not far from where we are going. Great day for a run out in the cowgirls, eh? Yes. Thanks for the call, Camo. Brilliant that you were up for the Norbert. There's nothing like it, I'm telling you. Fantastic day out with all your mates like. Amazing day, really. Not just finishing it, like, but the whole day. Yeah, said Camo. Oh, yes, amazing. Nothing like it, like. You stick with me, and I'll get you round it. That's a promise. That would be amazing, said Camo. You've been there and done it, so anything that you say will be useful to me. Yes, you stick with me, like I always say. Go with them that knows. It's proper though, isn't it? Stands to reason. This is going to be a long morning, thought JB. They were not far from the motorway. Hang on, said the veteran. I forgot my fell shoes. We will have to go back. I can't be on the cowgirls in these. I'll slip and break my neck like. JB looked at Camo, and he quietly nodded and gave him a look to go back. JB pulled over to the side of the road, waited for a gap in the traffic and did a U-turn. Brilliant, thought JB. We've already set off late and now we are adding all this extra time. We really are going to be back late, after I promised my wife I'd try and be back early too. Bloody hell. He tried not to speed. The veteran just ploughed on full voice with no apology or embarrassment. They pulled up back outside his house and the veteran got out of the car and walked in at a slow, steady pace. He's not even rushing, said JB. He's not apologetic or nothing. If I forgot my fell shoes and we had to go back for them, I'd be mortified. I'd apologise at least. It's just his way, said Camo. He's all right. The veteran came back carrying his fell shoes in one hand in his methodical way. Right, lads, let's go, he said, getting in the car. JB pursed his lips to keep quiet. The veteran gave him his advice all the way to the cowgirls. When they got out of the car, JB had a sudden thought. Hang on, if he's better than Camo, which he probably is, then he could be really fast. Camo would be pushing and struggling to keep up with him, and I'll be done for. I hope it's not going to be like that. This could be the worst one yet. Why do I do this to myself? I'm sure I said to Camo, can we not bring someone crap next time? And he goes and brings this guy who's done the Norbert. They set off. Camo raced to the front. Oh no, thought JB. He's trying to impress him. Whoa, shouted the veteran after Camo. You don't need to go off so quick. The hill will still be there when you get there, won't it, lad? Do you always shoot off like that? I suppose I do, said Camo, stopping and waiting for them to catch up. That's not for the pace for the Norbert, that, said the veteran. It's much slower than that. You've got to be going for 24 hours, like. It's a long way, so take it easy. JB was shocked. Whoa, if we go slower, I might actually be all right. They went up the now familiar path. With three of them, it was a little crowded and they fell into single file. Here's Algie, said Camo. Can't stand that lying twerp, said the veteran. What? Said Camo. Can't stand him, said the veteran. Lying about his achievements, trying to piggyback on the back of people who have actually done it like. I don't think anyone believes him, said Camo. He's harmless. He's not harmless. He's a lying twerp and I can't stand liars. He tried telling me he'd done the Norbert like. I told him where to go and not try that crap on me like. OK, said Camo. But honestly, no one actually believes he's done any of the things he says he's done. That's not the point. He shouldn't do it. How would you feel if you came across one of those Walter Mitty army types who say they've won medals that they haven't, like? I suppose, said Camo. No suppose about it, said the veteran. They walked up with the atmosphere tense. Algie saw only Camo at first. Algie, nodded Camo. Hi, Camo. Did I? Algie saw the veteran. His face froze and he went silent. The veteran walked past him as if he wasn't there. JB walked past him. Morning, Algie, he said. Algie did not answer. They arrived at the steep uphill part. The veteran had a steady pace that suited JB more than Camo. JB could see Camo was finding it difficult to keep his pace down. So, as I was saying, said Camo to the veteran, I'm thinking of attempting the Norbert this summer. Yes, it's not for everyone, you know, like, said the veteran. What are you currently doing? Currently doing? Said Camo. Your miles, your weekly total, like. Last week I got in about 25 miles, said Camo. Only 25? Yeah. How much should I be doing? Said Camo. The Norbert is 65 miles in one go. You need to be doing a week what you will have to do on the day. Right, said Camo, thinking. I think I can do that. Think. If you don't do the miles, you'll never make it, like. You are talking about being out all day, just under 24 hours, like, if you're lucky. A 2-hour Sunday morning run and a few miles in the week are not going to cut it. This is a monster. And you are talking about mountains, like, mountains. The height of Mount Everest in a single day. How much height did you get in those 25 miles? Nothing really. It was on the road. They're flat, said the veteran. Yeah, said Camo. The veteran shook his head. Those are junk miles, he said dismissively. Junk miles, said Camo. Junk miles, said the veteran. You might as well have not done them. You can junk them. He stopped climbing the hill to emphasise his point. The Norbert is a totally different ball game to the flat. If you don't get any height in, they're junk miles. The Norbert is 27,000 feet. It will chew you up and spit you out like. Many is the lauded marathon runner who has rocked up to the Norbert thinking it will be a nice afternoon stroll round some hills to end up destroyed by the climbs and the descents. It's not the same thing at all, like. Flat is junk. Honestly, you can junk them miles. What should you be doing then? Said Camo. The veteran started climbing again. Well, the general training plan is to build your height up from 4,000 feet a week to 6,000 feet like, and then be doing at least 10,000 feet a week in the run-up to an attempt. You can, of course, do more than that, like. If you are doing that, the distance will take care of itself. But you should at least have a 35-mile run under your belt before you go for it, like. Right, said Camo. Stick with me, said the veteran. I'll get you round. Do everything I say, and you'll be fine. OK, said Camo. They carried on up, and Camo started getting further ahead. Here you go again, shouted the veteran. Going off too fast like. Slow down, will you? I can't help it, said Camo. I can't help attacking it. Well, that's your issue then. You can't attack all 42 hills like, can you? You will blow up. You have to conserve your energy. My thinking was, said Camo, if I go faster in training, work to my max then, it will be easier on the actual day. On the actual day, I will slow down then. No, you won't though, will you? Said the veteran. You will be just used to it like. You won't be able to change. I will, said Camo, for the first time disagreeing. You won't, I'm telling you, said the veteran. You need to go more at Jam Butty's pace. He's got the perfect pace to get round like. You should stick to that. Me? Said JB, surprised. Camo is much better than me. He's using me to get back at Camo because he dared to disagree with him, thought JB. Your pace is good, said the veteran to JB. You won't blow up doing that like. Not like the pace Camo is going at. He turned back and shouted up to Camo. Come on then. Push on now and see what happens like. I could do what you're doing and race ahead, but I won't because I would blow up. Don't you think I know what I'm talking about? Don't forget, I've seen it all before. Seen lads come and go with big plans and big ideas, only to fall flat on their faces. Literally. They came to a steep bit in the last section before the top, and they naturally strung out and went quiet climbing up it. Camo was in front, JB second, and the veteran at the back. Watch out below, shouted Camo. JB looked up. He wondered what Camo meant. There were no falling rocks or anything. All he could see was Camo's unappetising backside in his lycra 3/4 lengths, and then it hit him. A perfectly dropped fart in the well of the hillside, waiting for him. Oh, that's rancid, said JB. That's burned the back of my throat. Ha ha, laughed Camo. Oh, that's a mustard gas attack, that, said JB. Ha ha! Camo laughed louder. What's going on like? Said the veteran. Camo's dropped a stinker, said JB. Oh, ho, 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 ho. The veteran laughed. Camo waited on a little flat section for them. One lad at school could do God Save the Queen, he said. And the start of All You Need Is Love by the Beatles. If he'd had his beans, because that's a little longer. In the army, we used to light our farts for a laugh in our bunks at night. Someone would shout, watch this. Everyone would look in the dark, and they would light a match, and then, whoosh, you would see this shooting blue flame. Some lads got a bit famous for it. They tried to save their wind during the day, especially for night time. The things you get up to when there's nothing else to do. JB and the veteran were pulling faces and laughing. You don't want blowback on that like. Not a flame up your arse, said the veteran. No, definitely not, said Camo. I wonder what women get up to when they're together with no men there, said JB. I can't see them proudly discussing their farts like this. They're worse than men, said Camo. Filthy they are. Do you think so? Said JB. Definitely. When a group of them get together, particularly if they've been drinking, you'd better watch out. You think so? I know so. Look at all them hen parties. I guess you're right, said JB. I know I'm right. After eating all that flapjack on leg 3, I was desperate for a shit like, said the veteran. I'd been eating all day, so I had the biggest log of my life. Michael Phelps, who was with me on that leg, said you could mark it on the map and use it for a trig point reference like. It was that big. He laughed to himself. Ho, 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 ho. With the pace a little slower, JB felt more confident. He was still conscious of his ACLs, but they were not complaining as much. "I've still got those sore ACL tight guitar strings," he said to Camo, "but I think they're getting stronger. I can't wait to get better and for it to be easier." "What? It never gets easy," said Camo. "Not easy," said JB, "but easier, surely." "Not really," said Camo. "Because once you do a height and a speed, you just go further, faster and higher until you hit your limit again." "Oh, brilliant," said JB. "So you're saying it never gets enjoyable?" "Of course it's enjoyable," said Camo, looking at him. "If you enjoy pain, ha-ha!" Camo carried on up the hill, laughing to himself. "Ha-ha!" JB shook his head. "I'm sweating," he said. "I was freezing at the start, but now I'm too hot. I think I'll take my top layer off." "You can do," said Camo, "but you'll be putting it back on again when we get nearer the top. It'll be windy up there today." JB took his top off and put it in his small running rucksack. Camo was right. Further up, the wind chilled him. He waited for a bit to be sure, but it was cold, so he ended up putting it back on again. Camo was first up to the top, then JB, and then the veteran, having a quiet moment, following up behind. They were going to head down, and it was a section JB had most difficulty with his ankles. They always went over at some point. While there was half a minute, he spoke to Camo. "Camo, when you run, what do you do with your feet and ankles?" "What are you on about?" "Well," said JB, "I keep going over on my ankles and it's horrible. It knocks me sick. I think I'm tensing my feet and ankles wrong. What do you do? Do you splay your toes, run on the ball of your foot, your heel? Do you tighten your ankles when you land? Or do you leave them relaxed, and when they start to go over, tighten them then? What do you do?" Camo looked puzzled. He went for a little trot. "You made me think about it now," he said, angry. "And now I don't know how to run. What did you do that for?" "Sorry," said JB. "That's freaky," said Camo, pulling a face. "Right, I used to do this at school when teachers tried to make me learn something I didn't want to learn. The voices would be in my head and it would hurt. I would force my brain to be blank, so there was nothing there. Not black blank, but filled with a bright white light." Camo put his head down. "La la 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 la. That should do it. Ah, there it is, blank." He went for a little relaxed trot. "Got it back. Don't ask me that again if you don't mind." JB stared at him open-mouthed. "Okay." "What?" he said. "Do you not do that if it's something you want to get out of your head?" "I don't think so," said JB. "It's really useful," said Camo. "I've always done it since I was a kid. Make me mind go blank. It's not blank exactly, like a black emptiness blank, but a bright white light blank." "What? Like a clean white page?" said JB. "Definitely not," said Camo. "That would remind me of school. No, more like a bright white painted room with a bright white light, everything white." "Like being interrogated with a light shining in your face?" "No, this is a nice feeling." The veteran came up. "Ready to go?" said Camo. "Yes," said the veteran. They set off running. Camo turned to JB. "You think too much, Jam Butty. That's your problem. Don't think. Just run. Your ankles will just do it and think for you. I don't really have trouble with my ankles. I do with my feet because I can't get the laces right. They're either too tight and hurt my feet, or they're too loose and then they slip about. I worry about my calves and my knees, not so much my ankles." "Right," said JB. Camo suddenly stopped running and stood on one leg like a flamingo on the top of the hill. "You could strengthen your ankles up a bit standing on one leg like this," he said. When you stand on two legs, you don't move or wobble. But when you stand on one leg, you wobble about, and your ankle has to grip to stop you falling over. When you are standing about, you could do that for a bit and then change over to the other leg. That will exercise your ankles stronger." As he was saying it, he started to wobble on his one leg. "See?" he said. I'll try that," said JB. Camo started running again, and JB set off after him. They became strung out on the run down to the bottom of the fell. Camo flew down. At one point, JB came near the veteran. "I don't like to go too fast down like Camo, because of my knees like," said the veteran. "Microsurgery to take cartilage out of both. Camo will need to be careful at that speed." "I don't want that," thought JB. "I can't go fast downhill," he said. JB could see the experience of the veteran in how efficient he moved and the little decisions he took. The constant little decisions about where to put your feet, the route to take. He took frequent quick glances up to check his path, sometimes stopping altogether to double check. Camo was more gung-ho. Eventually, all three were at the bottom. Camo had already jumped across the stream. JB found a place to cross. "I'm not going to jump it because of my knees like," said the veteran. "I'll find a place where I can step across." "When did you have your knee up?" said JB. "Last Thursday." "Last Thursday, and you're out today? Did they not tell you to rest it?" "Well, one consultant said to rest it for 8 weeks like, and another said, 'I know what you are like. As long as you nurse it round, it might actually be better to keep it moving to strengthen it like. Obviously, I prefer that to get out on the hills, so I took his advice." "I can't believe you're doing this after a knee operation," said JB. "Well, this is not much, is it like? Just a Sunday morning stroll with the lads. A few miles and a few thousand feet. It's not a big one, is it?" "It is to most people," said JB. "Most people won't do anything like this, ever." "They're lazy sods though, aren't they?" He was not expecting an answer from JB. He found his place to cross, where he did not have to jump. JB turned to Camo. "He had a knee op last Thursday." "I know," he said. JB shook his head. "I'm too hot again now," said JB. "I think I'll take this top off again. This is a weird hobby. You can be too hot and too cold all at the same time." "Ha ha!" Camo laughed. "I'll keep it handy," he said. "You'll be wanting it back on again before we get to the top. The rain is coming in. Look!" He pointed at the patch of sky with clouds. "Be raining about 20 minutes, just as we are getting up there. The temperature drops between 1 and 3 degrees for every 1,000 feet of climb, and it will feel colder than that with the wind. The weather can be fine at the bottom and horrendous on the tops. It's different on the tops." Camo was about to start up, and the veteran hurried over to him. "What are you going to be doing about your food on the Norbert like?" he said, following Camo up the hill. "I've been thinking about that," said Camo. "I'm not sure. I've heard lots of horror stories about eating on the round. It seems to be a real issue about getting enough calories in. I love my food, but you hear so many times that people start puking up on leg 3. They can't keep the food down and they quit with no energy. Or you hear that other people quit because they just can't consume enough calories to get round." "It's a big thing, is your food like," said the veteran. "You need to find what works for you. Like, I love cheese and pickle sandwiches, and I had a load of them. But as I say, someone brought a giant flapjack, and I had a load of that like. I fancied that on the day. Other people have porridge. Some have pork pies." "What about gels?" said Camo. "Oh, you will never do it all the way round on gels. They will turn your stomach like. Maybe on the last 2 legs when you've got most of it done, and you need a burst of energy then, but not on the first 3 legs." JB listened in. It was strange to see Camo subdued. Camo was right on the rain to the minute. There was a cold turn in the air, a few raindrops, and then they were up into the wind and a sudden downpour. JB struggled to get his rain top over his head. Camo was stood laughing at him. "You can't stop there! You'll die!" he shouted over the wind. It was like getting into a plastic bag in a wind tunnel. He gripped tight onto it so it didn't disappear off over the hill. Eventually he had it under control and over him, and the hood zipped up. "This top is amazing," said JB. "It's like being inside a tent and listening to the rain outside. I was freezing and getting drenched, and now I'm all warm and dry. This top is a lifesaver. It's the best thing I've bought so far." "They are good, aren't they?" said Camo. "Don't know how the old-timers manage without them. You could freeze to death." The rain and wind kept up as they went over the top, and then 10 minutes later, going back down again, the wind and rain stopped. JB looked at the sky to see where the weather had gone. "Told you," said Camo. "Different on the tops. Now for the Big Dipper." As he said it, his eyes lit up. "Always liked the Big Dipper," said the veteran. "It's tough, but it is enjoyable." JB felt a little apprehension about what he was about to face. "Can't be steeper than that first hill," thought JB. "Hey," said the veteran. "Look at this stream coming off them rocks. That's proper Cumbrian water, that like. You could bottle that and sell it. Proper mineralised fell water, that, straight out of the mountain. I'm getting myself some of that, like." He went over to the spring of water and started drinking. "Oh, taste that. Puts you right, that, like. Hey, Camo, come and get some of this water." "I told you, I can't drink water. It makes me rich. Always has done since I was a kid. I have to have juice instead." "You don't know what you are missing, like. Hey, Camo, remember when I told you to watch out for that spring high up on leg 3, up by Devil's Fang?" "Yes." "Well, don't forget to fill up there, like. Saves you carrying all that water up there when you can fill up. And it's the proper way, like. It's what Norbert would have done. He started as a shepherd, you know." Yeah, I know," said Camo. "But I told you, I can't drink water." "Well, why don't you take some of those fizz bombs, like, and drop a couple of those in," said the veteran. "Oh, that's actually not a bad idea. I could do that," said Camo. "I told you," said the veteran, stopping. "Stick with me, like, and I'll get you through it. I know what to do. I've done it. Do it my way and you'll be right." "OK," said Camo. "It's right, though, isn't it, like? You need to listen to those that have been there and done it, not people who haven't, like. Stands to reason." "True, makes sense," said Camo. The veteran started walking again. Now he had the answer he wanted. "Of course it makes sense," he said. "You getting some, Jam Butty?" "Are you sure it's clean?" said JB. "Of course it's clean, like. You can't get cleaner than that. It's straight out to the mountain. It's purer than your tap water, that, and no added chemicals. Where do you think they get bottled mineral water from, like? If they mess with it, put chemicals in it, they can't sell it, like." "I suppose so," said JB. He went to the water and drank some. "Bloody hell, that's cold. It nearly froze the fillings out of me teeth." "Aha! Fill your belly up, lad." How is this going to work out between the veteran and Camo, thought JB. Will it be like the army and Camo takes orders? Or is this dead in the water? They ran down off the top of the big hill and it flattened out, and then it went down again to another flat section. There was a track, but it was overgrown, as not many of the fell walkers probably came this far out. The three of them strung out again, Camo off at the front. I wonder if Camo wants a break from advice, thought JB. And where is this Big Dipper? We're going downhill all the time, so it can't be that big, unless we go back up again first. There was a fence line to the right. Camo stood waiting at the end of it, where it turned perpendicular. "We go right here," he said, smiling. "This is the Big Dipper." JB looked across. He could see the ground in front of him for a short space, and then an innocent enough looking green fell opposite. "Doesn't look too bad," he thought. Camo set off and JB went after him. The veteran was coming up behind. It was a deceptive hill. Suddenly the ground disappeared in front of them. Involuntarily, JB stopped running at what appeared to be a precipice. He glanced across at the innocent-looking green wall of a fell opposite, with a fence line going up it vertically. The drop-off in front of him seemed too steep to go down, if it wasn't for the fact that Camo was bouncing down it already, skipping as he went. "Woohoo!" Camo shouted happily. "Woohoo! Come on, Jam Butty! Get in the Big Dipper!" JB couldn't get his legs going for a couple of seconds. They still did not believe it was possible. He had to physically tell them to start. "Come on, legs! It must be possible, because, look, right there! Camo is doing it!" His legs got going, and he eventually set off down the hill, and he could feel his ACLs tightening at the steepness. His toes started to jam forward in his shoes, ramming his big toenails back into him painfully. Ooh! He turned his feet sideways to kind of sidestep down to avoid that. It was painful on his leg muscles, and he had to turn and face the other side every so often on the way down. It was like carrying a heavy suitcase that you had to put down and swap hands. The veteran passed him halfway down with his efficient way of running. "See you at the bottom, like," he said. JB's legs took a battering, but he was at the little stream at the bottom in no time, due to how steep it was. He rubbed the pain out of his legs. Then he stood upright and took in the climb ahead of him. It was the steepest hill he had ever seen, straight up, almost vertical. There was a fence line to his right, with wooden fence posts and barbed wire that ran all the way up. "Whoever put that in had a tough job," he thought. Camo was stood on a little outcrop, sucking on a gel and taking a drink. "I'd get some energy down you before you attempt it." JB got out a nutty chocolate bar from a pouch in the front of his running rucksack and a bottle of juice from the side pouch. "We can't climb this," said JB. "Look at the bloody thing. It's vertical." "Ha ha! You have to. There's no other way out." "Just take your time and you'll be fine, like," said the veteran. "Just aim for little points, like that bush there. Get to that point, get your breath, like, and then aim for the next one." JB started up the hill, holding a half-eaten chocolate bar and juice bottle. It took it out of his legs straight away, it was so steep. The veteran set a steady pace, going in long zigzags up the hill. Camo was going straight up and not zigzagging. "You're doing it all wrong, Camo!" he shouted. "Stop attacking it, like. I've done both, attacking and zigzagging. You need to pace yourself, man. Slow down." Camo paused and looked back. "I just want to get it over with," he said, and turned back. The veteran looked at JB. "He's not going to make it round the Norbert," he said. "You don't think so?" said JB. "Not like that, like. He'll blow up, like." JB did not know what to think. They were both much better than him. "I think you could make it," said the veteran. "Me?" said JB, shocked. "You've got a much steadier pace, like. That's the pace you need to get round." "I'm a long way from that level," said JB. "Give it time." "He can't possibly think that," thought JB. "I'm struggling here now, and what have I done? About an eighth of the distance and a seventh of the height." At the end of the wide zigzag sweep left he did, JB found a sheep skeleton. He picked up the bare bleached white skull. "Look at this!" he shouted up to Camo. Camo paused and looked down at him holding the skull aloft. Even the sheep don't make it out of here alive. We're trying to climb out of the pit of hell. Ha ha! Laughed Camo. JB got back to walking. He made it to the heather the veteran had said to aim for. It was a little ledge that had been worked flat by sheep's feet. To the right, the fence line was close. It looked like a strange ladder going up. He wondered if he could use it to drag himself up. Maybe if I'm exhausted, he thought. It's too embarrassing to try it at the moment in front of these two guys. He got back to the endless climb. The veteran had just passed him going up on his left-hand side. "Now where was I?" he said. "Oh yes, my lad Jason. He's in his first year at sixth form at the grammar school, like. He's a bright lad, obviously, but he's also a great sportsman, like. He's got a chance of making it at the tennis, but I've told him he needs to put in the graft, like. He plays for the county, and this summer he's having tryouts for nationals. He's bloody good, mind. Mind you, a lot don't make it, like, so I've told him, no slacking. Me and his mother are driving him round everywhere and paying for everything, so the least he can do is put his best efforts in, like. Well, this weekend there was a party, like. Lots of the kids getting together at some person's house, getting drunk and all that, like. Well, he said he wanted to go. All his mates are going and all that, like, so he was really tempted. I advised him against it, like. I said, look, Jason, all these kids are going nowhere, like. They'll get drunk, get off with some local lass, like, wake up the next morning with a sore head. You've got training, I said. You can't be doing that, like. Not if you want to make it, like. There'll be some other kids somewhere else in the country getting up, Jason, putting in more effort than you, and they will get ahead of you, like. I said there's plenty of time for girls when you've made it, like, but you don't want a girlfriend now. They will get in your way and slow you down, like. Some of the girls going to this party won't even be grammar school girls. You don't want to be stuck with some local shop girl, like, with no qualifications and no future, do you, Jason? I said not when you've a chance of making it, like. I could see he really wanted to go, like, but I said, look, Jason, I know these are your mates, right, but they're all losers. They're going nowhere, like. They're not going to make anything of themselves, so what do you want to be worried about what losers think of you, like? You're a winner, Jason. After a few days, he came to me and said, I don't want to go, Dad. I want to try to make it as a tennis player. I said, well, it's your decision, son, like. But I'm proud of you for making the right choice, like. You have to keep up your studies, though, so you can go to university, like, if it doesn't work out with the tennis, and be a doctor, or at least a pharmacist. He said, you're right, Dad. A girlfriend and all that can wait, like. I knew he wanted to go, like, but like I said, there'll be other parties and nice girls at uni if he doesn't make it at the tennis. I knew he wanted to go, like, but like I said, there will be other parties and nice girls at uni if he doesn't make it at the tennis. He doesn't want to be stuck with a local shop girl round here going nowhere, like, does he, like? He turned to JB. What do you think? Bloody hell, thought JB. What's he asking me for? Talk about a loaded question. Well, making it in any professional sport is really hard. That's right, like. That's exactly what I said. So that's why I told him to give it everything, like. I could have made it, I think, if only my parents would have done for me what I'm doing for him, like. I would have loved to have made it at football, rugby or tennis or something. When I see how much money these guys are earning when they've got hardly any talent at all, like, and certainly no brains, like, I know for sure I could have made it, like, given a chance, like. Right, said JB. Camo was getting close to the top. Come on, man, slow down, shouted the veteran. Nearly there now, said Camo. No, not got the right attitude, said the veteran. I bet he went to the party as a kid, like, and didn't work at school. That's why he's doing what he's doing now, like, decorating. No qualifications, see? You go to the party and anything could happen. I suppose so, said JB. Maybe get drunk and get one of those shop girls pregnant. He said with a shiver. That's my worst fear like. Jason getting some no-mark girl pregnant. I've told my wife if that happens like, we'd pay her off and tell her to be on her way with it like. If she wouldn't have an abortion, of course, like. If she wanted to keep it, well, let her have it. Jason can have other kids later on in life, like, when he's achieved what he needs to achieve. You have thought it through, said JB. What about drugs? What if he took recreational drugs? He wouldn't do that, like, said the veteran, sounding less confident. He knows his body's too precious, like. He's got too much of a chance to throw it away on that, like. Right, said JB. After being in winter conditions, they were now in summer. On the side of the hill, in the steep valley, they were in a sun trap. And now it's boiling, said JB. I wish we were back at that water spring. Yes, it's a bit warm, like. Eventually, they came out of the Big Dipper, and the ground quickly tapered flat. JB could feel his legs speeding up. It was like coming out of walking in the sea to walking on land. Camo was sat waiting on his haunches, and JB walked towards him. Whoa! I've just done the Big Dipper, said JB happily. That was amazing. I wish my wife could see this, but if she was down in that valley, I'm not sure we'd get her out. That is so steep. If you like that, you should see some of the climbs in the lakes. That, he said, pointing back at the Big Dipper, is just less than 1,000 feet. The climb at Dumbbells is nearly 3,000 feet straight up. Wait until you try that. JB looked at him. Bloody hell, I've only just done the Big Dipper. Can I not enjoy that for 5 seconds before you move the goalposts and make it another step harder? Ha ha, Camo laughed. Ready for the trot back? He said. You've done it now. Yes, said JB. Home sweet home. Yes, said the veteran. I don't know why you come all the way out here to the Cowgirls. It's good training like, but why do you not just go to Old Duffa? Camo looked at him. Old Duffa? What's Old Duffa? Old Duffa Pike like, said the veteran. What? You've never been to Duffa? You've got to be joking like. That bloody big hill 4 miles out of your city centre. Park up by the gamekeeper's cottage is the best route. Peacocks at the bottom. Over the stream and then a nice cinder path climb of 1,000 feet to the top. It would only take you about 15 minutes like, to get there. You could be up and down in 40 minutes. If you need more height like, you just do it 2 or 3 times like. If you do what they call an up and over, that's from one gamekeeper's cottage over the top to the other, 7 mile. So an up and over, there and back, is a 2,000 feet, 14 mile hilly run. You're joking, said Camo open-mouthed. No? So no one's told you about Old Duffa like? Said the veteran. No, said Camo. That's got to be a local training hill like, that has. Camo and JB looked at each other open-mouthed. 15 minutes away, said JB. About like. I'll look it up, said Camo. They jogged back over the hilltops. JB was cautious of his footing still as he ran, but he felt much more relaxed. He knew where he was and knew more about his own strength now. The veteran was running close to Camo with JB behind. It's 4 years tomorrow since my mum died like, said the veteran to Camo. I still think of her every day like, you know. I really miss her like. I know what you mean, said Camo. Mine died 8 years ago. I think a lot about her. If I'm doing something or I've a decision to make, I always think, what would my mum say? If the kids do something, I think, My mum would have liked to have seen that. Yes, said the veteran. I'm same like. I miss me dad too, said Camo, but not the same as me mum somehow. Yes, said the veteran. It's different for your mum like. It's your mum like. I still hear the little words of advice she gave, said Camo. You know, the little sayings. They just pop into my head, and I can see her saying them as clear as day. I know what you mean, like, said the veteran. I suppose it's like they're still here, like, in a way, like. Definitely, said Camo. No, I don't mind admitting I miss her, like, said the veteran. I cried at a funeral, like. First time in years. Yeah, said Camo. Aye, said the veteran. Like a baby, like. What about you? Did you cry, like? No, I didn't, said Camo. No shame in it, like, said the veteran. Either way, cry or not cry, like. No, said Camo. I don't cry at real life. Doesn't seem real somehow. But I cry all the time at films. Yeah, said the veteran. JB felt a strange pause of time, waiting for the veteran to say like, but it didn't come. Yeah, said Camo. Wife takes mickey out of me for it all the time. Here he goes again, she says. JB trotted along behind, marvelling at the two 6-foot-plus giants talking about their deceased mothers and crying at films. How about your mother like, Jam Butty? Said the veteran, turning to him. Oh, my mother is still alive, said JB. The veteran gave him a look as if telling him off. Well, make the most of her while she's still here, like, he said. You'll miss her when she's dead, like. He did not wait for a response and turned back to talk to Camo. JB was shut out of the newly formed Dead Mothers Club. It did not seem long before they were on the last circular path down. Then they were at the car. JB opened the doors and boot for them. The veteran got his road shoes out of the car. He took his fell shoes off and banged the mud off them on the road. He sat on the curb to put the road shoes on and then stuffed his fell shoes in his rucksack. Right, like, he said. I'll be off to my brother-in-law's for Sunday lunch and the football, like. Are you sure you don't want to lift? Said JB. No, it's only 4 miles of the flat, like, he said, shaking JB's hand. Jump miles? Said JB, smiling. Yes. Ho, 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 said the veteran. He went up to Camo to shake his hand. Thanks for all the advice, said Camo, taking his hand. I'm definitely going to check out that Old Duffa Pike. Yes, said the veteran. Give me a call, like, and I'll come up with you maybe, like. Yeah. And stop going off so fast, like, he said. I'll try, said Camo. No, you bloody won't, like, you daft sod. You can't help yourself. No, said Camo. You should stick to Jam Butty's pace, like, said the veteran. JB winced a little, embarrassed. The veteran set off jogging down the road. JB and Camo got in the car. JB looked at his watch. 12:30. Have we been slower today? No, we set off later, and we had to go back for his bloody fell shoes, remember? Said Camo. Oh yeah, said JB. I forgot about that. Great start that was. Tell me about it, said Camo. Hang on, said JB. No naturist camper today. And no algae on the way back, said Camo. I wonder what scared them off. JB turned the car around in the road and they headed out of the village. Well, said JB, when they were on the long road out before the motorway, what do you make of the veteran? Camo took a deep breath. He's a bit... Camo paused to find the right words. Intense? Offered JB. Of a knob, said Camo. Later that week, JB was at work, stood waiting for the photocopier to print. While he was waiting, he lifted one foot like a flamingo. He started to wobble, and his one ankle had to work hard to keep him standing upright. 2 young girls from the office were walking past. One nudged the other and pointed at him. They both started giggling and hurried off close together.